So what we'll be doing today, we'll be creating our first virtual machine in AWS. The virtual machine called EC2, right? Elastic Cloud Computing. So in order to do that, let me go ahead and search for that EC2 in the search bar. Whatever the service that you wanna work with, you just go ahead and search in that search bar, or you can click on the services. But I would do just a search in the search bar. So I can select that EC2, and you will be navigate to that Ec2 dashboard. Okay, that Ec2 dashboard will tell you how many instances are up and running. Instances are nothing but virtual machines, and the key pairs, elastic IPs, all that kind of stuff. How many volumes, security group, all that kind of stuff. And in the left side, you will see the instance types, launch templates, AMIs, volume, snapshots, lifecycle manager. We'll be discussing all about that, all of those services actually. Okay, so don't worry about, don't panic. We'll be discussing all of them. But for today's lecture, we'll be creating our first virtual computer, and we'll try to do like a file permissions and a user management over there. Okay, so to create our first instance, just to click on that instances, right? So we don't have any instances running. Let's go ahead and launch an instance. So a computer, what we are doing here, we are creating a virtual computer, right? A computer should have an operating system, right? Operating system is mandatory for that computer. And since we'll be working on Linux commands like user management, all that kind of stuff, we need a Linux computer, Linux operating system for that computer. So these are the flavors of Linux, which Amazon support these flavors of Linux. You will have Amazon Linux, and this is Amazon Linux 2 as well. And Mac OS, different kinds of Mac OS, and they will support Red Hat Enterprise Linux as well. You see that Mac OS Catalina, Mac OS Big Sur, Red Hat Enterprise Linux with a high availability. This is not free version. And they support SUSE, Ubuntu, Windows. They support multiple flavors of Linux and Windows. Okay. We'll make it simple. This is our first session with AWS, so we'll make it very simple. We are going to pick that Amazon Linux AMI 64-bit. The first one is absolutely fine. Let's go and choose that AMI, nothing but operating system, and how big you want your instance. The instance type, the type of that instance, right? It defines the size of that instance basically. Okay. The instance type divided by size, basically defined by size. You see that? Number of CPUs like a 1 and a 0.5 GB, 1 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB RAM. You see that? And the size, they're calling like a small, medium, large, extra large, nano, T3, nano, micro, small, medium. You see that? Based on the size, CPU of that instance. Okay, these are all just names. So they cannot call every time, they cannot call, okay, can you create an instance with 8 GB? Or can you create an instance with a 6 GB? Right? They cannot mark it like that. They have to provide some naming conventions, and they named it like a T2.nano, T2.micro, all that kind of stuff. So this is free tier eligible. I can go ahead and launch that one. Okay, I'll go ahead and review and launch. We'll be discussing that configure instance, add storage, add tags, configure security group, all those details. We'll be discussing about that, okay, in actual Amazon session. But for now, just to choose your AMI, choose your instance type, just to go ahead and launch. Go ahead and launch. So when you try to launch your instance, right, you will be connecting to that instance through command line. So this computer, in order to access this computer, you should have access to that computer. How I will how I will know this computer belongs to you? This virtual computer is yours. You're the one who created, or you have full access. How I will know that? So what they're doing is they are giving us an option to create our own key pair. Hey, can you create a key pair so you can have that key pair in your computer, local computer, so that we will use that key pair to identify you. Okay, what you can do, create new key pair. Okay, just a key pair name, just download that key pair. This will be a .pem file, which will be downloaded to your downloads folder. Okay, private key file PEM file will be directly downloaded to your downloads folder. And if I want to connect to this instance using SSH, I would have to have that key pair ready. Okay, I can go ahead and launch this instance. So this will take a minute. You see that the instance ID will start with I. Okay, remember that. AMI ID will start with AMI. Snapshot ID will start with the snapshot. Snap. Volume ID will start with the vol. VOL. Very simple, very straightforward naming conventions. Instance ID will start with the I. Let's just click on that instance ID. You see that this instance is in pending state at the moment. This computer, so being created. So we'll be waiting. You see that now it's up and running. These are all the metadata of that instance. You see that the instance state is running, instance type is state.micro, and this is the VPC of that instance. This is the AMI ID of that instance, and this is the subnet, and this is the region, availability zone. In this availability zone, the instance is in, and this is the key pair of that instance, and these are the volume devices. This is complete like a metadata of that instance. Description will give you the metadata of that instance. To connect to this instance, you see that connect bar on the top. Just to click on that instance, click on that connect bar. Okay. So what this will tell you, the standard SSH client. So what is the standard SSH client? It can be Git bash. It can be putty. It can be terminal. Those are the SSH clients. Basically, those are the SSH clients. So a standalone SSH client, for me, it's a terminal. So I can open the terminal. First things first. This is my terminal, right? And I can minimize the screen. Actually, this is my terminal. Can you guys see the font size and everything? Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay. So open the terminal, open an SSH client, which is terminal for my case. If you are using a Windows computer, it can be Git bash. Okay. Locate your private key file, which is this one. And I knew that the key file will be downloaded to downloads folder. I'll just see. You see that it's in downloads folder. Okay. So the key file is in downloads folder. And what next? Let's go. Your key must not be publicly viewable. That means your key should have only readable permissions. We'll be discussing what is that permissions in a minute. Okay, I can go ahead and copy this command. I can just run this command. Okay. It's in downloads folder. I knew that it's in downloads folder. And I ran that command and I did not get any issue. Then all I would have to do, just copy this command, what this command is do. This SSH means secure shell. SSH will be used to connect remote machines. What is my remote computer here? This Git bash is this EC2 instance is my remote computer here. Where I'm coming, I'm trying to connect to that EC2 instance from my terminal, right? Which is my local computer. So I'm trying to connect to a remote computer using SSH. And I'm using an SSH client, which is nothing but terminal, my case. Okay. If you are using Windows, it can be Git bash, okay, or putty. Okay. So this -I will look for this key. Hey, if you see this key, okay, and this is the host. Connect to this host, that means this computer. Host is nothing but virtual computer. Connect to this virtual computer as a EC2 user. In order to log into a computer, you at least one user should exist, right? When you buy a computer, when you buy a laptop, when you get it, you would have to log in first time, right? That Windows operating system would want you to log in first time, right? And each time when you want to log in, you would have to provide credentials, right? Even if you buy MacBook, you would have to log in using what is that, Apple ID or username, password. You would have to log in, right? But for this remote computer, I don't have any user to log in, and I don't know, right? In these virtual computers, by default, they're giving a user, they're giving us a user called EC2 user by default. It's for every EC2 instance, there is a user called EC2 user. Okay, by default. If you don't want that EC2 user on your remote computer, some companies does. They don't want EC2 user on their remote computers for security purpose. What they will do, once they create their virtual computer, they will remove that EC2 user. Okay. But for now, I'm logging into that remote computer using EC2 user as an EC2 user at the rate. This is a host. Okay. Let's go and grab this command. I would say enter. This is it. Now I'm differently in different computer. And this is my user. Like I logged in as a EC2 user. And this is the IP address of that remote computer. Are you guys with me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that is good. Now this is actual Linux computer. Okay. And how I'm going to get the computer details is, let's see, OS release is a place where you can get the AMI details, OS release, operating system release. What you see, this is a Amazon Linux computer, version 2, ID, blah, 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 blah. Okay, don't worry about that. This is actual virtual computer. Now let's go ahead and play. Now we will be able to create users, we'll be able to create files, we'll be able to do anything, pretty much anything on the Linux, right? So what we'll be doing today, we'll be learning the file permissions. What is file permissions and how you can modify the file permissions, okay? Before that, we'll be learning about users, how we can create users and how we can create, user groups, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And let's go ahead and add our first user. In order to add a user, you must be an administrator for this computer. Okay. In the Linux, an administrator can be called as a root user. Okay. And a super user, root user, administrator, the same administrator for this computer. Okay. So now, do we have any administrator? We should have at least one administrator, right? One super user, right? In order to add user and remove this EC2 user, there has got to be a user, right? Administrator for this computer. By default, EC2 user itself is an administrator, a root user. Okay. In order to create a user in Linux, you must be a root user. Okay, let me go. The command that will take you to a root user, sudo, that means super user do -i. Okay, super user do -i. You see that? Now I became root user. Okay, now I became root user. Now I can go ahead and create one more user. Command to create a user, add user or user add, anything, add user or user add user and username. Let me call user one. Okay. And so we just created a user, right? Now let's go ahead and add password for that user. To do that, command is passwd and username. It will ask you for the password and confirm the password. Okay. Now, how do I check whether that user created or not, exists or not? ls, all users will be created in the home folder. You see that? How many users I have at the moment? 2 users. One is EC2 user, second one is user one. Okay. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Now I logged in as an EC2 user, right? Now I want to log in as a user one. Okay. To do that, the command is su, which is switch user dash and a username. Switch user dash username. That will ask you for the password. Okay. Provide the password. Now I became user one. If I do pwd, you see that home user one. Okay. If I do exit from here, right? Now I'm EC2 user. If I do pwd, you see that home EC2 user one. Okay. So now we know how to create a user. What about administrator? How I can add user to an administrator group so that he can be an administrator, right? By default, EC2 user and administrator, but we don't want EC2 user. We are going to remove EC2 user, for example, right? Because he is a default user for everybody. So how I can add administrator? How I can add that user to administrators group? So there is a group name called wheel group. Okay, wheel, WHEEL, wheel group. You need to add that user to a wheel group. Okay. In order to do that, sudo super user do user mod. You are modifying user permissions. -a, -g. Okay. Wheel group and a user one. that will add this specific user to this wheel group. So he will become a root user. Are you guys with me?
Yes, Vishnu.
We'll be discussing. So don't worry, don't panic. Okay, it's pretty simple, straightforward. Now we know how to create a user and how to create an administrator already. So we created user, we add that user to administrator group so that he can add an extra user as well, right? Only administrator can add an extra user, right? And
Yeah.
now he will be able to add users, blah, blah, blah. Done, we are good. Let's verify that, whether that user one will be able to create users or not. Switch user one. Okay. Now, super user do, we are telling this user one is a super user, right? We are telling this computer, this user one is a super user. So this sudo means super user do. This guy, I don't have to go as a root user. If I think I'm a root user, I can just simply add sudo before the command. The sudo, what this sudo will do, hey, this guy is a super user. Okay. And let's add user 2. Okay. Okay. Hey, if you think you are a super user, please provide your password and we will verify that whether you are a super user or not. Okay, done. So let's check ls-home. Now user 2 has been created. Let's go ahead and create a password for user 2. What is the command? Pass wd user 2 and create a password. And password done. Right now, user 1 became an administrator. This is the command to add a user group to an administrator, like a user to administrator group. Okay. Simple, pretty straightforward. We'll have an exercise, so don't panic. Just be with me. Now we know how to create a user, how to modify user permissions. What is the command to modify user permissions? User mod. What is the command to create a user? Add user or user add. Okay. And now let's go ahead and check the file permissions, actually, how we can modify the file permissions, how we can modify the file ownership, right? Let's go ahead and create a file. What is the command to create a file?
Touch.
Okay.
Touch file name.
1.txt. Let's go ahead and create a text file, right? Let's do long list. Okay. So you see this, there are 10 characters over there. Okay. And one of them, the first character, we know that. What is that first character? It will tell you whether this is file or a folder, right? Whether this is a file or directory. What about remaining 9 characters? What are they? What they does exactly? Okay. Let me
Permissions given, like it is having read-write permissions or the permission given to the individual or group.
Okay. Let's go ahead and see how does that work. Okay. This is let's have 10 characters, like a 10 dashes. I'm not counting. Can someone help me? 9, 10, right? And let's divide. This one, we know that. This will tell you whether this is a file or a folder or a directory. Okay. And then divide into 3 parts. Okay. If you go here, this will say read rw dash rw dash r dash dash. Okay. Let's discuss what are rw dash rw dash blah blah blah. Okay. So this is r, for example, this is w, and this is x. R W X X R W X. R means readable permissions, and R will be noted with number 4. W means writable permissions. Writable permissions means basically you can edit that file. Write means number 2. X means executable permissions. Even though you cannot like read it, you cannot like write it, you cannot edit it. What you can do, you can just use that file. You can just use that file. That is executable permissions, and noted with number 1. Okay. And let's go to this command, and let's look at these two guys. You see that there are two guys over here, right? Who are those two people actually, right? You see this guy right here, he is the owner of this file. Okay, he is the owner of this file basically. And these 3 characters will tell you this owner permissions. Okay. Currently this owner permissions, what is this owner permissions? We'll discuss that in a minute. Okay. And this guy right here is a owner group. And these 3 characters will tell you the permissions of this guy. Okay. When I say, so he is the owner, right? And this file has been created by this guy, or this file has been modified to have this guy ownership. Okay. He is the owner of this file basically. And in Linux, each user belongs to a group. Okay. Each user belongs to at least one group. So this guy right here is the owner group. This owner group. So this owner belongs to this group basically. Okay. And these 3 are the permissions of this guy. And what about these 3, right? These 3 permissions for everybody who can have access to this computer basically. Okay. Let's say there are 10 people, 10-15 people have access to this computer, but they're not the owners, or they don't belongs to this group, but still they can access. If owner want them to provide access, like provide them to like, use that file, he can provide just access. Okay. How we can modify those file permissions, Vishnu? Like how we can do that? How we are going to provide the permissions for this file so that other people can use it, or other people like a owner group. Let's say user 1 is belongs to this group, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and add user 2 to that group. Okay. User mod, just to see, add dash A means add, dash G means group. Which group? User 1 group. And which user we are trying to add? User 2. Okay. And provide password. Now, user 2 also belongs to this group, right? We add this user to this group. But if this guy don't want this guy to access that file, he doesn't have to provide access to this group basically. And we'll see in a minute like how those permissions will be modified. Very, very simple, quick, very quick actually. Okay. Let's go and check it out. So the read, write X, read, write X, read, write X, read, write X. If you have a full permissions. Okay. And read noted with 4, write noted with 2, X noted with 1. If I want to give full permissions to this owner, the number I would have to provide 4 plus 2 plus 1. How much is it?
7.
Okay. And if I want to provide just read and executable permissions to the owner group, what number should I provide?
5.
5.
Okay, 4 plus, I don't want to give writable permissions, right? Just read and executable permissions. I will add 0 plus, I want to give executable permissions and 1. 4 plus 1, how much? 5. And I want to give just read and write permissions, not executable permissions for everybody. Okay. So what number should I provide? Read and write.
6.
Okay. 2 plus 0. That is 6, right? Let's go here and provide that permissions to this file and let's see what happens. The command to do that, chmod, okay, 756, is that the number we got? And a file name. Okay. Let's go ahead and check that permissions for the file. You see that? Read, write, execute for this owner, and read and execute for this owner group. Everybody who will have access to this computer, they will have read and executable permissions to this file. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Geeta, are you there with me?
Yes, Vishnu.
Did you get me?
Yes, Vishnu. I got it.
Shubhara, did you got it?
Yeah,
You understood, right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is good. Now, hey, how I can change the ownership of this file? Right? How I can change the ownership of this file? Like I want to change this ownership. Who is the owner of this file at the moment? Can someone tell me who is the owner of this file?
User 1.
Okay. Now I want to change this ownership to user 2 and let's see. Okay. The command is chown, change the ownership. Okay. Who is the owner? User 2. And who is the owner group? User 1. And what is the file? File1.txt. And let's see. Changing ownership operation is not permitted because you have to be a root user to change the file permissions actually. So to become a root user, I would just use sudo super user do, and now I did not get any error. Let's go ahead and check whether the permissions are being changed. You see that now the owner for this file is user 2 now. Okay. The group is same. You see that because we have the same group, but we did change the owner. Okay. You see that this is the command. Now I want to change these file permissions to EC2 user. Only EC2 user should be owner for this file. Okay. And I want to change the group to EC2 user group as well. Can someone tell me the command? So I'll ask Divya, can you tell me the command?
Sorry, Vishnu.
So can you see this? Can you see this, Divya?
Yeah, change owner. Yes, change owner user 2 to user 1. You changed it.
Okay, so we got this error, right?
Yes.
What is that error?
Because you didn't give the super user do command.
Okay.
So that's why we got that error.
Okay, let's
Then you gave the sudo.
okay.
Command.
Okay, let's start with the sudo, right?
Okay, sudo.
Now, what is the command should I use?
Change chmod.
chmod.
ch1 ownership. ch1.
Okay. I wanna change the ownership to EC2 user and a group to EC2 user.
Okay, then EC2 user.
Okay.
Means the colon.
Okay.
To the user 2, right?
Same EC2 user. I would want to use EC2 user group as well.
Oh, okay. EC2 user, you use file 1 text.
Same group and the same user. Okay. That's what I want to do. Let's go ahead and change it and let's verify. You see that now EC2 user become owner of this file. Okay. And this file belongs to this owner group. EC2 user is the owner group. Are you guys with me? Are you getting me?
Vishnu, I have a doubt.
Yes, go ahead.
Here we sudo user mod -a-g user 1 and user 2. This command has it has to display here total 0. After total 0 there is user 1 and user 1 displayed. Why that is displayed user 1 and user 1? Because we declared user 1 and user 2, right?
So what we did is we are modifying user permissions. Let me explain this command, okay?
Okay.
So this sudo, we understood sudo, right? Super user do. We would have to provide that super user to escalate that privileges, right? Like a root user. So we understood sudo. Now we are modifying the user permissions. Which user permissions? We are modifying user 2 permissions. Okay. By default, user 2 belongs to user 2.
User 1.
No. You see that here user 1 is the owner. By default, user 1 belongs to user 1 group, right?
Okay.
This is the owner and this is the group. Okay.
Okay.
Now, by default, user 2 belongs to user 2 group.
Okay.
Now, what we are doing is we are adding user 2 also user 1 group. So this guy right here, he will have a same access as a user 2 and the same access as a user 1 group as well. User 1 group as well, because this guy has been added to this user one group as well.
Okay.
So in Linux, you will get permissions based on your group, not like an individual user.
Got it.
Whatever the group permissions, you will get the same permissions basically. Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense?
Yeah.
So this -a means add. You are modifying user permissions to add this user. -g means group. This is the group.
Okay.
And add this user to this group. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any doubts? Okay, I'll take that as no questions. That means you guys are doing really great. But you guys are going to get a lot of questions, but we'll discuss that. Okay. Now let me go ahead and clear my screen. So we are good. We are good with the user add, user mod, and change the ownership and change the file permissions. Let me go ahead and create a file. Okay, touch and something, any file. Yeah, okay. And ls-lrt. Who is the owner of this file? Can someone tell me who is the owner of this file?
Spring Boot Java.
No. This is the file name, right?
EC2 user.
EC2
EC2 user.
Who is the owner group?
EC2 user.
Okay, now I want to change this ownership. Okay. For example, let's say I want to change this file permissions to everything. Like EC2 user, the owner should have everything, every access. Owner group should have every access, and everybody should have every access. Okay. When I said that, everything, right? Read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Okay. And I want you to guys give me the command. So what command should I use?
chmod 777
Okay, 7.
Spring Boot Java.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask. Let me see. I'm gonna ask Ramya. Ramya, are you in the call with me?
Yes, Vishnu.
Do you think this is going to change the file permissions?
Yes.
Okay. Look at this box. Do you think so? 777 will give everything like a read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute permissions?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and try that. And enter. Let's check. Read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Okay. Now I want to change the ownership of this file. I want user 1 as an owner and a user 2, actually user 1 as an owner group as well. So what command should I use?
Sudo change owner.
Sudo chown, right?
Uh-huh.
And user, I want both of, like both user 1 or user 2. I want both user 2. Owner should be user 2 and a group should be user 2.
User 2 colon user 2.
Yeah, user 2 colon user 2.
User 2. Spring Boot Java. Okay, now let's go ahead and check that. That's a good job. So you guys are making progress. Okay. Now we are good with this part. So we are good with the user management and file permissions, right? Now you will know how to change the file permissions and how to create users, how to add users to wheel group, and how to change the ownership, how to add user to a different group. Are we good with that?
Yes, Vishnu.
Okay. So once you have done, once you complete your assignment, and you will be very familiar with it. Pretty simple and straightforward. Okay. Now this part is very simple. Now, right? So this is a Linux computer. Now, how many users we have over here? Let's check. How many users we have? 3 users, right? So what I want you to guys do, I want you to guys switch to each user, and I want you to guys generate SSH keys and add those SSH keys to your public GitHub repository. Clone 3 different repositories as 3 different users, and try to make some changes to your files or create an extra branch and commit those changes to remote machines and create a PR and merge it. How simple is that? Very simple, right? Okay, let's go ahead and generate SSH keys for first user. Who is the first user?
EC2 user.
Okay, what is the command to generate SSH keys?
SSH key. SSH key.
Okay,
SSH.
gen is the command.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go to that SSH folder. You see that now I have a public key, private key, authorized keys, blah blah blah, right?
Cat rsa.pub.
Okay, cat id underscore rsa.pub. Copy this, right? Copy this, and let me go to my GitHub, right? So I'm gonna clone GitHub training repository for this guy. So what I will do, okay, that's okay. I'm adding to this server, so I can clone any repository that I want. I'm not adding to a specific repo. Okay, so I can pretty much clone anything because SSH keys connection between the servers, between this Git server and that local computer. What is my local computer here? This EC2 instance is my local computer because I'm working from a place that EC2 instance place. Actually, that's my local computer. Whatever the place that I'm working is my local computer, right? And now I'll be adding EC2 user public key to remote repository. Okay, SSH and GPG keys. Add a new SSH key, and I'm gonna EC2 user key. Let me see. So if it is a git bash, Ashwini, that will work.
Yes, I'm facing a lot of issues with Windows actually.
Yeah, we will discuss after this session. Okay.
Sure.
And let me see whether I did remember this password or not. Now we are going to have a hard time. I don't think we will. Yay! So now I have added EC2 user key. Okay. Now I want to add another user key. Those keys belongs to that user. They don't belong to that specific server, basically. The SSH keys, you see that? So your public key has been saved in this home EC2 user, right? Home EC2 user and .ssh and ID underscore RSA pub. EC2 user, inside EC2 user folder, only this guy keys will saved, right? This guy keys will be saved. This EC2 user folder I don't think user 2, user 1, user credentials will be saved in this folder, right? No. This identity belongs to the specific EC2 user only. Okay. Now let's go ahead and switch our user to user 1. Provide a password. Now, if I go here, .ssh, I don't think I have .ssh folder. So let me generate SSH keys for this guy. What is the command? Right? Now let me go to .ssh folder. Now I can see .ssh folder. So I would cat id_rsa.pub, right? And I can go ahead and copy this guy public key to remote GitHub, and I can call user 1 pub key. Okay. Now done. We just added one more. Let's go ahead and add our third user key. So what should I do now? Can someone help me?
SU user 3.
What is that SU does?
Change user.
Yes.
User.
Which user to?
Which user to?
User 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. And provide my password. Then check that SSH folder. I don't have any SSH folder, right? So SSH -keygen, that will generate one public key, one private key for this guy, for this user 2 guy. Okay. Here, one public key and one private key for which guy? For this guy, user 1. One public key, one private key for which guy? This guy, EC2 user. Okay, you see the difference? Now, what I will do, I'll just cat from here only, id_rsa.pub. I just go ahead and copy this. And let me go here. Add this user to public key, something like that, just for identification purpose. So now I will clone one repository for each user, and I'll create a branch. I'll make some changes and I'll commit them back. Let's start with user 2. Okay. So I want to clone whatever the repository. I have a bunch of repositories over there, and I just clone one of them. What is the command should I use to clone a repository? Let me go ahead and clone this repository. What is the command should I use?
Git clone.
Okay, SSH, that's fine. And git clone. Oh, git command not found. Do you want to know why? Can someone help me why the git command is not found?
Git is not installed on this PC.
Okay, yeah, that's fast. So in order to install packages in Amazon Linux or Red Hat Enterprise Linux or CentOS, yum is the package manager, and we'll have a session how to install applications already. So in order to install any package, you must be a super user. Okay, sudo yum install what package? Git, right? Okay, do you think it's gonna work? No, user 2 is not authorized because, can someone help me why he's not authorized?
Because he's not a super user.
Yes, we did not add this guy to a sudoers file, so he's not a super user. What I will do, I'll go back to user one. He's a super user. We know that we did add this guy to a sudo's group. Git. Okay. Let's provide the password. You see that now this guy is installing Git for us. So once Git has been installed, user 2 can also use it. He cannot install it, but he can use it. Okay. Now let's go ahead and clone that repository for this guy. Since we are here, we are going to finish this one. Git clone and paste that one. Okay, that's fine. Now if I do ls, automation and a file 1.txt, let's go to automation repository. Let me check what branch I'm in. I'm in main branch. I'll create a new branch. What is the command? Branch name. I can give any branch name, right? User one demo. Okay. Now I'm switched to user one demo. And let's check what are the playbooks that are available. Install prerequisites, whatever. Let me go ahead and add one more. Okay. Spring Boot .java. Let me go ahead and add Java file. Okay. Can someone help me with the commands so how I can push this one?
Git add.
Git add,
Okay, git add.
file name, Spring Boot.
Okay, Spring Boot, you're right. Spring Boot.java.
Java.
Next command.
Git commit.
Commit.
-n.
Add.
Updated Java file. Right? Anything. Okay. So this guy is asking me to, hey, can you configure your identity? Okay, I can do that. That's not a problem, sir. Okay. Can someone tell me why this is happening? Even though if your public key has been added to that system, still they want to know who is committing something, who is making changes. Okay. And let me configure my username. Hopefully that's the right one. Let me go ahead and commit that file. Now the file has been changed. I would do git status. Okay, git status. Nothing to commit, everything is clean. Okay, let's do git push. Git push origin. What is the branch name? User one demo, right? Now user one demo has been added. And what I will do, I can go there. User one demo had recent pushes less than a minute ago. That's nice. Let me go ahead and compare and create a pull request. And you see that user one demo to main branch. Let's check the main branch first. Okay. We don't have that file in the main branch, right? Spring Boot.java file. Now it's going to come there. Let's go ahead and user one demo to main branch and just create a pull request.
Sorry to interrupt, Vishnu.
What is that?
Oh, sorry. I thought of saying that can you do it through the terminal, but you have clicked on pull request button.
Yeah. We will merge. We'll merge, and yeah, we can do that. And let me go ahead and create. We already created. Yeah, merge that one. Okay. And now we can see. Now we can go ahead and see that file. You see that in the main branch, Spring Boot.java, right? Okay. Let's do it from the terminal. Now, let's do git branch. So I'm in user demo, right? And let me go ahead and edit Spring Boot Java. Don't laugh. Okay. And something like this. Okay. Is this right? College students, you guys have to help me. Is this right? Fine. No comments. So now I want to merge these changes, right? Let's go, let's check. If you go here, I don't have anything, any Java or anything over here. Just nothing, it's an empty file, right? You see that? 0 lines, 0 slacks, 0 bytes, nothing, empty file. I made some changes here on my local, in my branch, not main branch. Now I want to merge those changes to main branch. So how I'm going to do, I would have to check out to a main branch. Okay. Okay. So git checkout your local changes to the following files would be overwritten by checking out springboot.java. Please commit. Okay. Let me commit them to my branch. My branch. Remember, let me commit them to my branch. Which branch? User one. I'm not merging them to main. I'm committing them to user one. Let me commit them. So spring and git commit updated git push origin user one.demo. Now I can go ahead and I would check out to main branch, right? Now I'm in main branch. I would want to verify whether I'm in main branch or not. Okay. Now I want to merge those changes to main branch. Git merge. So your base branch, you will be merging changes from remote branch to your base branch, not remote actually. Feature branch to your base branch. What is my feature branch here? User one demo is my feature branch. What is my base branch? Main is my base branch. In order to merge to main, I would have to go to that branch first. Okay. So I did check out to that branch, git branch, then git merge user one demo. Okay. You see that these changes are being merged, and I would have to do git push origin main. Okay, let's pull. What is the error? Okay, git pull. Because our main branch doesn't have that Spring Boot Java file. So git push origin main. Now let's go ahead and verify those changes in a remote branch. Main branch. If I do refresh, you see that there's a public class, whatever demo, whatever. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me? Can you guys say
Vishnu,
it?
can you go to terminal once again?
Okay. Yes.
Oh, I thought of not to clear it.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah. So basically, once you get the error, again, you just mentioned git push. You didn't pull from there, right?
no, I did pull first actually. Oh, where is it? So I did pull the changes. I would do history. If I do history, right? You see that? So I did push after merge. I did push it, right? And that gave me error.
Yeah, that's what you pulled it, right?
Yeah, I pulled it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so in order to pull, sometimes you would have to mention that origin main or whatever branch, sometimes you don't have to just pull, and you pull those changes. And that if you look at this one, this is not an error, this is a warning. Okay, but if you see red thing, if you see error, right, cannot merge, cannot push, that red one, that is the error. This is just a warning. Okay, and I was able to pull it, then I was able to push it back.
Without giving the git merge user1 underscore demo, that command, instead of that we can like